Good evening, everyone. This is Lyra Barrett for the Institute for Global Transformation, bringing you the program Self-Mastery Training through Ageless Wisdom Teachings. We have been traversing over the last few months the 7 divine laws. In this particular, the fourth of these sessions, I would like to address the fourth of the 7 laws. The last time we were together, we were focusing on the divine rule of the third aspect, divine creativity or intelligence. This particular session, we will be delving into the fourth of the divine laws. Each of these divine laws are emanations, so to speak, of the 7 rays, which is a deeper study that we will be getting into later on in the follow-up session to CT, to this particular study. This particular lesson deals with divine harmony. And it states the radiation of love in the 3 planes of human endeavor. It transmutes darkness into light, ignorance into wisdom, and discord into harmony. So this particular expression of the law, of the fourth law, deals with the aspect of transmutation. And let's remember that each of these 7 divine laws are emanations of the divine itself, which is a septonate unit. A septonate energy, 7. Again, it states, the radiation of love in the 3 planes of human endeavor transmutes darkness into light, ignorance into wisdom, and discord into harmony. This is a big lesson, major lesson. So I ask that you get your pens and papers out in case you want to write things down. And we'll be going through a meditation at the very end of the session. And in between, if there are any questions that one has whatsoever, anything that was not understood, because its implications are huge in terms of how we work with harmony, how we seek out harmony through love in our life, through the technique of transmutation. So this particular seed thought highlights the importance of transmutation, and we'll be defining this. Transmutation as a technique to life, for life, altering substance from imprisonment within the 3 lower worlds, within our being, into light that can be used once this technique is applied to lift us out of density into a more refined substance, into subtlety. When energies are trapped within the three lower worlds, which is what they're talking about when they talked about human endeavor, the three planes of human endeavor. When energy is trapped within the three planes of human endeavor, which by now, hopefully, you're aware of what I'm talking about when I say the three planes of human endeavor. If not, let's repeat it again. Three planes of human endeavor are the mental plane, the astral plane, the physical etheric plane. Really, the physical etheric / physical. Physical etheric comes before the physical plane. It's that plane on which the physical is built. Transmutation was originally an alchemical term. Alchemy itself is known to have come out of Egypt originally, and then spread and was studied by those who traveled to Egypt, the Greeks, the Romans, you name it, okay, and brought back to Europe. Transmutation is used to bring light into our being in order to free up aspects of ourself that are vital, needed. All aspects of ourself are needed, but it releases us from the imprisonment of patterns, thought forms, feelings that we find ourselves reacting to within our life experience because of habits and conditioning learned throughout our life, especially our youth, and it carries on. And if that is not freed up, if that energy, which gets locked below within the subconscious realm, within our subconscious, gets locked there, and we find ourselves habitually in action and reaction from that story, those patterns, those habitual patterns that are created not by us alone. Usually, as I said, it comes through conditioning, school, family, other people's family. It's a social conditioning. And we begin to think that this is the norm because it's something that it's agreed upon silently by a collective that this is the proper way to be. I.e., i.e., let's look at the habit that we're told, that we just watched recently, a, a group, not a group, but several different, at least 4 or 5 different movies or episodes of something on Netflix, um, where a child is being taught by their parents, if somebody hits you, hit back, hit them back. Don't let them think that they can do that to you. Fight back. So we come into, we're raised in a world, many of us, against our better judgment, that this is the way to be because hitting back, if you're hit, you hit back, is a normal thing. Okay? And it may be totally against one's inner grain to do that. And because it might be against one's inner grain to do that, one is considered to be intimidated or withdrawn or any of those. And that becomes an association, a thought form that one carries in their being, thinking that I'm too timid to hit back, or uh, I'm weak. I'm weak as a result of this. And you begin to carry this thought form around that you're weak when really you may be carrying a higher frequency that says hitting back is not normal. It's against. Maybe you carry the frequency of harmlessness inherent in your soul through lifetimes of experience. And harmlessness, you want to maintain that. You don't want to harm anyone. Why? You might really like the person who accidentally hit you or may have hit you intentionally. Now, this is coming from a child's mind or someone who's younger. So nevertheless, you carry this stamp, this moniker of being timid and weak, withdrawn, so forth and so on. So these are how patterns that become set turn into habits within the wider collective. And I'm a little bit ahead of myself here in going through all of this, but it's important for us to be able to release ourselves, to know how the techniques to release ourselves from those set patterns that really aren't ours. Number one, may very well be ours. Number two, but carry such a low frequency that if in fact we are looking to advance and evolve, develop as a human being into higher aspects of ourselves, those locked, dark, energies caused by thoughts and feelings must be released, let go, redeemed, bringing the light of the divine love into that space so that that energy can be utilized and we become more of who we really are. More of our perfect self becomes available to us. Within our subconscious lurks an aspect of what is called the sum total of what we are not. It is known as the dweller on the threshold. It is the sum total of consciousness identified with form, and it becomes the sum total of that within us that would pursue the nature of that form. That's the one definition of the dweller on the threshold. You'll hear several in this session. It is also the total consciousness which has remained identified with the separated self from past incarnations. So the dweller on the threshold is an aspect of ourself that identifies with form, number one. It is an aspect of ourself that has been with us from incarnation to incarnation to incarnation. So it begins to augment itself through all of these incarnations. And at some point in our lifetime, we must deal with the dweller on the threshold. This dweller on the threshold must be transmuted and reconnected with our full consciousness. It must be connected with our consciousness because this is imprisoned. It's imprisoned energy. The dweller on the threshold is energy that has been imprisoned through lockdown, emotional, mental lockdown of things that we have not chosen to deal with, things that experiences, feelings that have over lifetimes again, that have built up, that must be transmuted if we are to take the path of initiation and seek evolutionary development. Transmuting the energy of the dweller on the threshold means that we must redeem or free substance, aspects of ourselves, substance. This is substance. Substance physically, substance emotionally, substance mentally. And we do this in order to achieve evolutionary development or attainment or liberation. It unlocks us from the prison that is the three lower worlds. We must learn to identify with, number one, our own immortal essence, known as the one life. Our own immortal essence is that aspect of the inner being within us that when we go into meditation becomes one with the one life, where we are fed from the one thing, the one mind. In meditation, where we're no longer being fed from the mundane world. knowing that our perfection lies not in the mundane things around us, but in the perfection of our soul within. That's why we reach inward. That's why we go inward and connect. And once we do that, we are being informed. We are at one with the one. Our job is the union of soul with the one life of the entire universe. And we do that through meditation. And by working with our thoughts and feelings. Through transmutation, we change our thoughts. We change the density of our thoughts and feelings and the landscape that creates within our inner being. We transform ourselves. We free ourselves from denial, doubt, fears that keep us earthbound. This shifts us from density to subtlety. Subtlety. The dweller on the threshold is known as the lead, quote unquote, the lead of our existence. It keeps us anchored to the earth and denser rather than lighter, more refined. When we combine this with sensation and expression, it makes us even more dense and lead-like. When we're able to rid ourselves of fear, our thoughts rise automatically. I heard recently a statement. If you had all the courage in the world, what would you do? Fear is an anchor. Doubt is an anchor. Denial is an anchor. And like lead, it keeps us down. We can't see above it unless we're willing to use divine will and purpose, our first ray energy, our sword, to completely annihilate it. Come what may, courage, pure courage. Fear destroys subtlety. It makes lead out of gold. That's how powerful fear is, and doubt and denial. One cannot rise with fear at all. Transmutation, though, allows us to look into our deepest wounds. For within our deepest wounds lies the quote unquote, the gold of our being. It's within the wound that we find the gold of our being. Your job is to free, release, open the way for light to shine into those dark places where fear, doubt, and denial live, remain, hang out, hide. And in doing so, redeem that substance. Give it a new constitution. Allow it to alchemically shift that darkness into light. Look in the deepest part of your inner wounds, for there lies the goal of your being, the gold, the metal gold of your being. And though it pains you, you have to excise it. Excise this luminous metal, this gold, from the crevices where it is accumulated. So, as I mentioned before, that whole pattern that's set within and within the world in which we live, where if somebody hits you, you have to hit them back. Okay, even though Jesus or Yeshua said, if someone hits you, turn the other cheek so they can get another hit. Okay, which takes the energy, takes the fight out of the whole situation. Because your goal, your focus, ideally should be about harmlessness. Okay, we'll get there. And if you do not have this urge to hit back, if you don't have this gumption to retaliate, you're considered uninhibited, or rather inhibited, and repressed. Those are better words than what I chose. You're inhibited and you're repressed. You're weak, you are timid. You're inhibited, you're repressed, and you carry that. You carry that to a lifetime if you're not awakened and realize that it's not coming from there at all. You're just not in agreement with society as to what is important. These labels of thought forms create blockages in the feelings and our thoughts about who and what we are. Imagine what it does to a child. It can derail one's consciousness and cause imbalance that one is living through unnecessarily for the rest of their lives. And as I said earlier, these normal responses, hit back. And there are a host of other ones that I could mention. They become, quote unquote, set patterns that become solid in the consciousness of humanity as a way of being. We're looking at how patterns become solid. We evaluate ourselves according to these quote unquote solid set patterns or habits as a society. Let it be known that substance or matter around us, the substance and matter around us, reflects the thought forms we carry. And it takes on the tone, color, and frequency of what humanity thinks, feels, about themselves. Our bodies take on and are conditioned by these set patterns and are shaped by these tones, colors, and frequencies. Transmutation through meditation, though, one, introduces a new concept into our consciousness, and two, creates a new tone, color, and frequency into the intelligence that is our substance. And as a result of that, the substance is cleared, lifting it up out of the old tone, color, and frequency into a brand new one. That's what transmutation is about. It frees and reconditions the substance. Redeeming it by lifting it up into light, into oneness, the one mind, or the one thing behind the entire universe, behind and within the entire universe. One becomes more aligned with their own inner perfection. Because as we lift and impart a new concept into our being, freeing, bringing light into that dark area where the hidden thoughts that we don't like to look at, the hurt, the pain, the wound exists, that we begin to think we are, once it is lifted up and light is brought to it. Once light is brought to it, it automatically lifts, transmutes it into something else. It's a new concept. Transmutation is the redemption of substance. Redemption, interesting word. What does it mean? The original meaning of redemption, because there are a lot of Christian layers in that word, but I'd like to go back to its original meaning. The original meaning of redemption is about buying back, procuring, releasing. It's like getting a ransom. It means to take or gain, procure, as I said, or deliverance out of something. That's the real meaning of redemption. Transmutation was originally, as I said before, an alchemical term, which meant the work of converting base metals into gold and silver. Today, though, transmutation applies more so to the work humanity must do to convert their lower nature from darkness into light. This baser nature, which blocks or occludes the light, are our fears, thoughts, feelings, doubts, that which we have denied, that create thoughts and feelings that gunk up our potential, block our potential, create sludge in our being, so that we never really are working with our full potential. And as such, flying like an eagle becomes more difficult. It limits our potential, our growth, our ability to soar. And that's what we're here to do. Plain and simple, within every incarnation, in some form or fashion. Through habitual response, we have molded into form a set of responses to certain stimuli. For example, the conscious desire to want to hit back, as I had used, that happens. So with the definition of redemption, we are taking back, we are redeeming, releasing a part of ourselves that is being held hostage by a program or a programmation. And transmutation liberates us from that prison. It liberates that imprisoned energy and sets a new tone into the intelligence of our substance. For the initiate consciousness, transmutation converts a solid form into a fluidic, stable energy response to the soul. That's a beautiful statement. For the initiate, the one who is seeking, knowingly seeking initiation. And many of us are doing that, but we just don't know it, by the way. Okay? It doesn't have to be knowingly, really. But for that person who is on the path, in whatever area of life that is their focus, transmutation converts a solid form within our being, something that's dense, heavy, unobstructable, seemingly, into a fluidic, stable energy, responsive to the soul. And this is what we notice when we are in the presence of those who carry that frequency. When we're in the presence of an initiate, whether they call themselves an initiate knowingly or not, okay, there are, as I said, many who don't know, their bodies become, after long periods of doing this work, their energy becomes lighter and lighter and lighter, less dense. Their vehicle becomes an instrument for the divine to work through. And thus, they are liberated from the density of lower thoughts and feeling. Their frequency, tone, and color is different from others. Because they are no longer in agreement with the thought forms of the many. who believe and have bought into the program. They're using their energy, their consciousness, their ability to discern, their ability to observe themselves and what's going on within to constantly bring the divine light of love into the dark places, the shadows within. Knowing that that energy of divine love, harmony, will alchemically free up automatically the aspects of themselves that are in shadow into light. They do the necessary inner purification, which is transmutation on themselves. Their bodies become tools utilized to assist their environment. And humanity at large. They live outside the norms of society and are not limited by their form. They operate outside the agreements of humanity. Having redeemed their substance, they automatically redeem then their environment. One comes after the other. Once the substance has been redeemed, the energy, because it's the energy of the soul. And what does the soul do? Radiates and magnetizes. And that energy of the soul then has to, once it has worked with the form, the consciousness within the form, it automatically has to go out and will affect the room, the home, the neighborhood, the environment of that initiate, and all those with which he's connected, and all those that he or she will touch. Because their environment is an extension of their being, in duty to the one life or the one mind. Transmutation's ingredient is one of love through the divine note of harmony. When directed to the lower frequencies of form, it calls forth a harmonic response. That's a direct quote. When directed to the lower frequencies, when that love through the divine note of harmony is directed to the lower frequencies of form, our mental, our astral, our physical etheric, it calls forth a harmonic response. The form then becomes resonant to and with its many parts. The form becomes resonant to its many parts and with its many parts. And being resonant to all of its parts, that totality of its being begins to attune to divine purpose, which is why we are here, all here in the first place. This method of transmutation takes on many different forms, all of which are available to all of us. It's not just for the initiate at all. Transmutation. The fourth ray is called harmony through conflict. It's an aspect of the human way. We get to harmony through agitation. It's our birthright and why we're here, to lift above the true, to lift above and into, through the true, sincere inner work. We are here to do inner work. And really, folks, this is religion in a nutshell. This is how we lift ourselves up. It's the Jacob's ladder, so to speak, of our inner being that we never really are taught how to ascend. It is the key to the ascension process. It is the way of healing one's ills. It is the mode to overturn all inner obstacles, bringing the light of the divine through the energy of love. Love dissolves conflict. Ah, talk about it. Love dissolves conflict. Substance is pure potential. Remember, we talked about divine creativity, intelligent creativity, mother, mater, matter. We talked about, I don't know if I have or not, hopefully I have, talked about the bar magnet. Okay? Positive pole, divine will, purpose, father. Negative pole, not negative meaning bad, negative simply meaning receptive, the receptive pole at the bottom of that bar magnet. And in the center, between positive pole and receptive pole, creates a magnetic field, which is consciousness or soul. So substance is pure potential. Pure potential. Substance is not supposed to be dense. As a matter of fact, we have become as dense as we possibly can. We can't get any denser than we are. Which is why all of this agitation is happening in the field, our world field, in the world. Because the soul of humanity, positive pole, well, really the magnetic field between the two, is seeking to impress itself within the consciousness collectively of humanity. I've talked to you about this before. It's happening now. More and more people are waking up than ever before. So it's our birthright, it's our duty, it's our responsibility to not allow anything to lay dormant in the recesses of the shadow of our being. But to at one with the divine, the one mind, the one thing, the one life. And to begin to feel the essence of pure love. Pure love. Which is an aspect also of harmony. Love creates balance, creates harmony. Harmony is an aspect of love. So it's our duty, folks, one and all, to be courageous enough. It's our inner work. It is the great work. To look within the recesses of our being at the stuff we don't want to look at. We always want to sweep under the rug, let it disappear. The courageous one, the assertive one, the one who knows that we are here for a purpose of evolutionary development, spiritual and evolutionary development, picks up that rug, okay, and looks at the dirt underneath it and begins to say, okay, this is this is that, this is the, oh, that's that, oh, and that, and I haven't looked at that over, and begins to bring divine light and love into those places, allowing that light, knowing, trusting, because it's just a law, that that light will automatically transform that darkness into light itself, which makes us more of who we really are, gives us access to our full potential, and then we can fly. We can be about our mission 100%. We can stand before anything that is coming our way because we've handled it. We know it. And new lessons come. But here's a catch. Go back a bit. I don't know if I mentioned this previously or not, but in the process of initiation heretofore, These techniques were hidden from most of humanity. Now that we are in the seventh ray, the Aquarian age, it's time for these truths that have heretofore been hidden to be known by everybody. Because human evolution is speeding up. And this wisdom is now available to us all. We are now at the brink of major change, where our ability to understand, apply, and work with this previously withheld information has grown. Again, why? Because, as I just said, the soul of humanity, the oversoul of humanity, is seeking to impress itself, no longer separate and apart. This particular solar incarnation in which we are in is about consciousness. We are developing consciousness, soul. The last solar incarnation we were in, Atlantean times, it was about developing matter, the form. Those days are gone. We're now developing consciousness, soul awareness. The ways of initiation and soul development have changed. We are in a powerful moment of major transformation for the human kingdom and for the planet itself. We are being advanced as humanity so that we can approach the door of initiation with greater awareness and knowledge. And be aware, be aware that as that movement is happening, there is the opposition trying to stop it. Visible. You can almost smell it. Definitely see it. That energy, the dark forces that are trying to move us back in time. We are urged through the techniques of transmutation to expand our awareness as deeply as possible into soul consciousness, bringing that down into the three lower worlds wherein we live, to anchor and embed this consciousness, to build and create a new arena of spiritual growth and development to be manifested into appearance within humanity. We do this, and then we help not only the planet, but we help the one life. We assist, we become the arms and legs of the divine. So the easiest method of transmutation, of the transmutation technique in itself, has been, let's put it this way. The transmutation technique has been stepped down, okay, into a technique that is simple, to be utilized when faced with our dweller on the threshold. Remember again, the dweller and the threshold is defined. I've given you several definitions. Here's another definition. The Dweller on the threshold is the integrated ego identity, which stands in between the applicant to initiation and the door to initiation. Pow. That says everything right there. Anything that stands between you and the door of initiation is the dweller on the threshold. Sometimes referred to as the not self or the antichrist. Now that's an interesting term, is it not? The antichrist. Because the teaching is the mind of Christ, the consciousness of Christ, the love of Christ, the angel of the presence is everywhere equally present. In that he is the Savior, the Lord, the Savior. How do they call it? The planetary Savior of this planet, of our world. He was before, and he is again now, because he did not complete his mission. The mission was not completed. Look at religion today. It says everything. There's much to clean up, straighten out. We cannot accept each other yet as brothers and sisters. We do not see each other as part of one human family. There's much yet to be done. We cannot love each other as we love ourselves. Whatever that, love each other as you love yourself. We cannot do that. We're constantly looking for someone to blame. We're constantly pointing out other as opposed to accepting that we are all one regardless of the coat we wear, the external coats we wear. And until we can do that, he's got work to do. He, she, they, whatever, has major work to do to clean up. We're still coddling these concepts of a woman's place. We haven't reached the consciousness yet that realizes as the women have more brain cells in their and have the ability to multitask and do so much more. And if women were in charge, we would be so much further along than we are now. Anti-Christ. It's anti. One is anti the energy of Christ consciousness. If we're dealing and allowing to rule that which is not who we are. Know thyself. It is that part of the separated self that must be sacrificed when the final step of liberation from form is taken. So this prepares the applicant so that movement of sacrifice is less of an obstacle and arrives sooner. Transmutation prepares the applicant so that movement of sacrifice is less of an obstacle and arrives sooner. So it is that part of the separated self that must be sacrificed when the final step of liberation from form is taken. When we deal with that dweller on the threshold, when we consistently work to shave off aspects of the dweller of the threshold in our being, we are liberating ourselves from form and preparing ourselves so that the movement of sacrifice, which we eventually, at some stage in our life, when we are closer to moving into a higher level than ever, we are then forced to make some level of sacrifice. Okay? Again, that's a law as well. And it makes that sacrifice less of an obstacle. And it also prepares us so that that time arrives in our lives sooner rather than later. The tone of harmony is part of love. The technique of transmutation requires that the applicant be able to find the tones of harmony from the energy of love. That's an interesting concept in itself. Finding the tones of harmony from the energy of love and apply it with direct purpose to that which demands transmutation. So for those unwilling to take the step in a courageous way, slaying their dragons, so to speak, they must understand what it is that we seek to do, that is being sought to be done. They have to move in a slower way. Nothing wrong with that. It will be necessary. It's necessary for them to observe what's going on in their experiences. Through observation, they observe their experiences. They observe what it is inside them that needs to change. And they gradually shift within. If this method is done sincerely, this is not necessarily using transmutation as a technique, but through observation, beginning to slowly unravel those aspects of themselves. It builds character. If it's done sincerely, it builds character, confidence, and begins to control they begin to control their own form, nature. But this method does not, through this method, they do not avoid meeting the dweller on the threshold. The time will come when they will have to deal with a slightly different dweller on the threshold. What happens in these two forms, sometimes students decide they don't want to go any further in observing their nature. Or you have the student who is gung-ho and they seize the opportunity the moment it appears, which forces the dweller on the threshold up out of its dark hiding place into the light of the soul. These students, the latter, take advantage of the opportunity to handle the dweller in the moment. They will not be content. They're not content with past gains or achievements. They know they must put forth as much effort as possible. And they also know that as they lay down the tracks to work with their dweller on the threshold in a courageous, confident way, they're also laying down the tracks for others to be able to follow their lead. Because we live in a shared mental and emotional environment. They pick it up through osmosis. Fourth ray is called harmony through conflict. I said that before. Knowing that harmony comes through conflict, the one seeking motivation applies the law of transmutation. The one seeking initiation applies the law of transmutation. Through divine intent, an intent to bring spirit into matter, that intent being bringing spirit into matter, or light into darkness, it attracts a side of the dweller, of which there are many sides, from one's lower nature, bringing conflict into light to shift the energy. And that student continuously goes back to see what more there is within their being that needs to be redeemed. They go back to see where they are still less than divine within. And with joy and with light of the soul, they reapply that transmutation technique time and time and time and time again. It is our work. It's like washing our body. Got to do it every day. Sometimes, maybe you say, oh, I got to take a rest. My pajama day. But you can't stay there for long. It's a day. Bacteria builds up in the body. It becomes impossible to feel okay in a dirty body or an unclean body. The shift within one's being becomes so evident. This love and light is known as the presence. I think it's also known as the angel of the presence. Some call it the angel of the presence, but the presence or the mind of Christ. I really shudder sometimes when I say that word. The consciousness of Christ consciousness, let's call it that, Christ consciousness. That is everywhere equally present. It comes from the full tone of love. Love is a frequency. It comes from the full tone of love and is also then harmony, sown within one's being, creating balance. Again, this technique of transmutation is handled through meditation and through one's daily thoughts or their thought life. And the effects occur within one's own. Let's prepare for meditation. And this is a fourth ray transmutation technique that you will be able to utilize time and time again as you so choose, courageously, to free up your being, redeeming the substance of your being and moving it into pure light so that you have greater access to all of you as you walk the journey of initiation. Prepare for meditation. Become physically relaxed and comfortable in a sitting position, please, not laying down. If possible. Become emotionally calm and serene. Become mentally poised and alert. And focus your consciousness in the ajna center, between the brows, about 3 inches away from the forehead. And there integrate your threefold persona, your body, your emotions and mind, into a single unit in aspiration to the overshadowing spiritual soul. Slowly move back along a line of golden light into the tiny blue-white sun in the center of the head. Integrate there the threefold soul, the threefold parts of your soul, the animal soul, the human, and the spiritual into a single unit. in aspiration to the soul, the Christ within you. From this point of synthesis, align outward to the Ajna center. And let the mind wander for 15 minutes. Do not repress any thought that comes to mind or allow yourself to become alarmed. Simply follow the thought to its logical conclusion. At the end of the 15-minute period, visualize the harmony of the soul pouring down into all these thoughts, whether good or bad. Hold the mind steady in that harmony and repeat the words. Standing on the scales, I reach out and bring into this condition that peculiar motion which results in balance. Audibly sound the Om. When you say those words, say them once, then allow that seed thought to resonate like ripples moving outward in a pond for at least 3 minutes. Then, slowly, relax the attention and return to normal focus. I give you this meditation for you to utilize in your own time. Obviously, we don't want to give 15 minutes in this moment. You can extend it in your own time. But let's do it for 2 or 3 minutes, okay? To see what comes up. Let's practice it for 2 or 3 minutes. Again, prepare for meditation. In a sitting position, become physically relaxed and comfortable. Emotionally calm and serene. Mentally poised and alert. Focus the consciousness in the ajna center, about 3 inches beyond the center of the brow. And there, integrate your threefold persona, your physical, your emotional, and your mental, into a single unit in aspiration to the overshadowing spiritual soul. Slowly move back along a line of golden light that connects the ajna to the center of the head. See that center as a frequency of energy appearing as a tiny blue-white light or sun in the middle of your head. Integrate there the threefold aspects of your soul: the animal, the human, the spiritual. Into a single unit in aspiration to divine soul impression. And in aspiration to the world Savior, the Christ. From this point of synthesis, align outward to the ajna and allow your mind to wander for 3 minutes. Not repressing any thought, allowing the thoughts to come, whether good or bad, and Your job is to hold the mind steady. Do not repress any thought or allow yourself to be alarmed by what may come up. Simply allow the thought to move to its conclusion. Repeat in your mind the following words. Standing on the scales, I reach out and bring into this condition that peculiar motion which results in balance. Allow that seed thought to resonate like ripples moving outward in a pond for at least 3 minutes. Then audibly sound the Om. Om. Slowly relax the attention and return to normal focus. This is a basic transmutation technique that is really quite simple to memorize and can be done almost everywhere but driving. This lesson is offered to you with love. That is, as it is the most basic way, simplest way for us to begin to apply transmutation techniques to our life, to redeem substance, redeem our substance, regain, procure, buy back who we really are. There's another form of a transmutation technique that I find rather excellent, that was taught to me by a very wise student of the mysteries and teacher of the mysteries. And that is when something happens that bothers you, and it's something that's annoying under the threshold of your being, that's when you know this is something that needs to be transmuted. Imagine being on a stage, working through that entire scenario that caused that thing that irks you, that bothers you, that is seeking to be released from its prison so that you can live your life clearly, cleanly, freely. Imagine you're on a stage, on the stage of that particular happening, that experience, and see yourself as every actor on the stage. We play the whole scenario with you being the actor, every actor on that stage, you taking every role. That is another transmutation technique, and an excellent one, by the way. I leave you with these concepts and thoughts and wisdom to ponder, and look forward to our next session in the coming February. May peace reign in your life. May you be able to see all things through truth. May you love all the players, knowing that they are an aspect of yourself, So mote it be in divine law and order, giving thanks to you for allowing me to be here, and giving thanks to the Institute for Global Transformation for allowing me to be here as well, and all the work that it does to serve humanity. Until next time.